Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Danielle, for getting us started. And I know people will still be jumping online, but we'll get started just to make sure you're all in the right place. This webinar will cover the FY 2026 Native Act Request for Proposal process. We will have a Q&A at the end, so please put your questions in the chat. And we will also have a recording of the webinar available on our website. All right. Well, we want to start with gratitude. We cannot do this work alone, as you know, and we are so grateful to have the support of the U.S. Forest Service, and in particular, Toby Bloom is here with us today to help us, and she has been such a support for the Native Act and then also the work of cultural tourism, indigenous tourism in the United States. So I'll give her a brief introduction, but I hope she'll be able to add some as well. So Toby Bloom is the National Program Manager, Travel, Tourism, and Interpretation, USDA Forest Service. She must have a ginormous business card for that title. She Her portfolio includes strengthening recreation economies in forest gateway communities, working with tribes to promote authentic interpretation and responsible visitation to Native heritage sites, innovative public lands and health partnerships, and working with interpretive associations to improve visitor experience on the national forests. Toby believes in nature as a key aspect of a healthy life and was the first Forest Service employee to become certified as a nature and forest therapy guide in January of 2019. As a program specialist for the Forest Service international programs, and before joining the Forest Service, she worked with local communities to develop ecotourism projects in Latin America and the Caribbean. Toby started her career in tourism and interpretation as a tour guide through the US, Canada, and Mexico. Her master's degree is in sustainable international development with a focus on ecotourism from Brandeis University. Toby, would you like to say anything before we begin?
Sure, I'll keep it brief because I always forget how long it takes to go through that bio. Thank you for having me today. Uh, I am happy to be with you all and to answer any questions that you may have about these funds and about working with the U.S. Forest Service. I will also be monitoring the chat while Hannah is running through the slides. So if you have any questions that come up as we're going through the slides, please feel free to put your questions in the chat. If it's something that we need to address immediately, we will do it then. But probably the majority of these questions we will take at the end of the chat. But I'll keep an eye on it just in case. So thank you for having me today, and thanks to everybody for joining.
Yeah, and thank you, Toby, for doing the chat duty. And again, really, if you do have questions, please put them in the chat because we want to. This is your opportunity, right, to learn more about this process. For those of you who don't know me, I am the program development director here at the American Indigenous Tourism Association. I've been with the American Indigenous Tourism Association for just a little under 10 years. So I'm very excited as we see these new opportunities like this, the FY 2026 Native Act Request for Proposals. So at any rate, we're going to get started. We're going to dive right in. Okay, just a little bit about IANTA. I've been here long enough to know it as IANTA. As you know, we changed our name to the American Indigenous Tourism Association in October, and I'm still getting used to it. Love them both. Okay, so the American Indigenous Tourism is a 501c3 national nonprofit governed by an all-Native board of directors and serves as a united voice for the $11.6 billion Native hospitality sector. Our mission is to define, introduce, grow, and sustain American Indian, Alaska Native, and Native Hawaiian tourism that honors traditions and values while helping American Indigenous tourism businesses become business market and export ready for domestic and international markets. I want to encourage you for more information if you haven't already and to see our resources, please look at our website at www.americanindigenoustourism.org. I also want to encourage you to look at our destination website, the only consumer-facing destination website dedicated to Indigenous tourism in the United States, and that's at www.destinationnativeamerica.com. All right. The Native Act. So you probably are familiar with it, but I just want to give everybody a little bit of information about it because this project, this RFP and the ones we've done in the past are directly related to the intent and purpose of the Native Act. Just as background, the Native American Tourism and Improving Visitor Experience Act, or the Native Act, Public Law 114-221. You can look it up and see the full text. I encourage you to do so. The purpose of the Native Act, in brief, is to enhance and integrate Native American tourism, empower Native American communities, increase coordination and collaboration between federal tourism assets, and expand heritage and cultural tourism opportunities in the United States. You will see throughout this process, the Native Act. Why I'm drawing you to this in the beginning is because it's throughout the RFP process and the purpose of this RFP. Okay, so diving right in. Let's get started. So I want to direct you to where you can find this on our website. So if you're not familiar with our website, you'll see here, it's americanindigenoustourism.org, and I've pulled up under resources, the top thing you will see is the Native Act Grant Request for Proposals. That's where you find the information and the application. You will also see the Apply for the Grant tab in red. That's at the bottom there. It's important that you scroll beyond this, however, and you'll see as we go through the slides, but I wanted to point this out so you know where to apply for this opportunity. If you scroll down past this section to find additional details regarding the grants, this starts you out, right? And then we're going to go through the slides to show you as you move through this opportunity and additional information. Okay, so the next thing you're going to see, and again, under resources, FY 2026 Native Act Grant Request for Proposals on our website. Here's some critical dates. Okay, so the proposal deadline is May 1st, 2026. Okay, don't forget that. We can't accept it after that. The award notification is June 1st, 2026. We are working very hard to make sure we meet that date. It depends on how many applications we get. So if we are over a little bit, we are not intending to be, but that's what we're shooting for, is June 1st. This is another really important thing as you're writing your proposals and you're thinking about how this project aligns with the work you do. The project completion has to be May 1st, 2027, okay? And the deadline for your final report is May 31st, 2027. So think about, in terms of your project, how it's going to fit within that timeline. There will be no extensions for the projects awarded under this request for proposals. So again, really important to know as you're writing out your grant and you're working with your team, there are no extensions. It has to be completed within the time frame laid out here. Okay, moving to the next. So again, under resources, FY 2026 Native Act Grant Requests for Proposals. Here are some of the grant details. In the past, we've had additional resources to provide. This year, we do not. So the grant ceiling is up to $50,000. Eligible project types include cultural tourism development projects, heritage interpretation projects, recreation initiatives connected to tourism, infrastructure or capacity building projects supporting tourism, community-driven initiatives that strengthen tourism economies in the United States, in Native nations and communities. Okay. Please also take a look in the slide that follows. There'll be additional information how this is tied to the purpose of the Native Act. And here we go. This is the longer slide. So again, you're going to go under resources, the Native FY 2026 Native Act. I didn't include it here so that you could see the full list here. And I do encourage you to go in and take a look at this. The eligibility, you must be following under the Native Act definition. So an Indian tribe has a meaning given in the terms of Section 4 of the Indian Self-Determination and Education Assistance Act. Tribal organization has the meaning given in the terms of Section 4 of the Indian Self-Determination and Education Assistance Act. And Native nonprofits that border and/or have historic ties to U.S. Forest Service managed lands. Grants must be used for cultural tourism, interpretation, and/or recreation initiatives that support the purposes of the Native Act as follows. And again, I'm going to encourage you to look up the Native Act and read. It's not a long document, but please read it. It's important that you know it and understand it. And I've included the purposes here on this slide, and then also you can find it on our website. And please make sure your project fits within the eligibility project types as well. So the this section is really important that you look at this and understand the connectivity, because you can't proceed into the process if you don't meet the eligibility requirements. Okay, the selection criteria. This is also included on our website following the eligibility requirements, and includes 4 areas with points assigned to each criteria. We will review each of the 4 criteria in the slides that follows. But again, keep in mind, when you're reading these eligibility requirements, this is telling you how to connect your proposal to the points system that we graded upon. Okay, the first on the selection criteria. Does the project or program spur important infrastructure development and/or increase technical capacity? We are looking for tribally led initiatives with the potential to grow and expand impact over time, or initiatives that are more mature and are ready to advance to the next stages of implementation. This is up to 10 points, okay? Oops, sorry. Number 2, does the project and/or program proposal develop a clear case for implementation? We are looking for a clear understanding of the timeline, what the program intends to achieve, and how it will be achieved. This must be reflected in both the narrative and the project budget, and the specific tribes engaged in benefit or benefiting from the project, along with a reasonable estimate of the number of people that will be positively impacted. This is also up to 10 points. Okay, number 3, is the project program broadly supported? We are looking for projects and programs that are tribally driven with broad support for implementation. To be considered, the proposal should include the following, and please pay attention to this. A, the evidence of tribal support, including a document that reflects approval for the project by tribal council or tribal government. This is a mandatory application requirement. Without it, your proposal will not move on. And that's up to 5 points. A letter of cooperation from the local U.S. Forest Service unit. This is also mandatory. Your proposal cannot move forward unless it has this included in its application package. This is up to 3 points. The last piece is a minimum of 2 letters of support or cooperation from other organizations. This is not mandatory. This is optional, and it has up to 2 points. I highly recommend, though, it increases the strength of your proposal if you have this piece, because it shows that you've worked within your community and that there is support for the project to move forward, or this component of the project move forward. Okay, selection criteria 4. Does the organization or organizations have the capacity to implement the proposal? We are looking for proposals and project budgets that clearly demonstrate the ability and capacity to implement through staff expertise and overall capacity. The budget must include documented cost estimates to support project readiness, timeline, and deliverables. The allowable indirect rate is 15% of the total budget request. This is also important to note. I know that some have negotiated a higher indirect rate. But this proposal, the maximum allowable indirect rate is 15%. Okay. This, as we said at the onset, we have done these proposals in the past with larger amounts of funds available. So these projects are examples. However, we've also given you the amount that that we were able to award. So some of these projects may seem bigger in scope than you're going to be able to do with the funding that we have available this time around. But we wanted to give you some examples. And again, that red bar to apply. This information, again, is on our website, and you're going to want to, you're going to scroll down when you're ready to go, and you apply for the grant. By selecting the apply for the grant, you'll access the online application. And let me move you to that. Okay, so once you press that red bar that gets you to the application process, you're going to see a screen, and I'm going to break it up. It is it's one full screen you fill out, but I'm going to break it up so we can go through each section. The first portion of the application focuses on the contact information for the proposal. This is important because this is the contact we're going to have throughout the process, right? So the application, the agreement, and subsequent contact that we need to make and reporting. So this is an important component. And please provide your physical address and your mailing address. I know sometimes those don't necessarily match, so just include both if you could, and an active phone number for the contact person. Okay, this is the next, as we went through the criteria, this is where you're going to have your opportunity to show how your project fits, how it aligns. So you're going to include your project program title, the summary of your request. This is, your elevator pitch, right? This is good, very quick sort of summary of it. The number of Native nations or communities impacted. So when you're looking at this project and you're seeing how it's going to affect your community or neighboring communities, this is your opportunity to showcase that there. And the number of people benefiting from the project. So for example, say that you have a park initiative that you're doing, and that park initiative currently has 1,000 visitors a year. So that impact would be those 1,000 visitors a year that you can anticipate. And maybe there's a community aspect to it too. We also have an off season, we have programming that benefit this many people that come and utilize the park. Also the project program location. We need to know where this project is happening. So you can include it here. All right, this is the attachments. This is a very important part of your application, right? And it goes back to that points that we talked about before. So you're going to include your project program narrative, okay? And that's an attachment that you're going to attach to your application process. It's going to be part of the packet we receive. Your key staff bios. So those are the people that are going to be working on this project and are going to know, each role that they play. This is helpful and important for us to understand how this project is being thought about and how it's going to be implemented. We need your photo of a project and a project location. The photos, please note that once you've provided those to us, they can be utilized for talking about this project, sharing the photos in any kind of outreach that we do regarding this funding opportunity. So please use photos that you have a permission to use for promotional purposes. The project program goals and objectives. This is another important piece that showcases that you have fully thought out and are able to complete the project in the timeline proposed. Evidence of tribal support. We talked about this. This is a mandatory requirement for this application. Letters of cooperation from local Forest Service units. Again, this one is a mandatory. Letters of support and collaboration from other partners. Project plans and photographs of project site. Project program budget. And there's a template. This is really important. There's a template provided. That is the template you need to use for this application. And then last, an audit financial statements or a 990. Okay, and then you'll see there's that big red submit button. Once you have all of your materials together and you are sure it's ready to go, you press submit. We can't reverse that. So once you've submitted, that's your proposal. So make sure you have all of the pieces in place and you are ready to go when you hit that submit button. And there's, again, the big submit button so that you know where you're going. That needs to happen before your request for proposal isn't done until that's hit. And I'm just going to give you a reminder on those key dates again. So May 1st, 2026 is the proposal deadline. Your proposal has to be submitted before that date, on or before that date. June 1st is the award notification date that we are working towards. And then May 1st, 2027, the projects must be completed by that date. And then May 31st, 2027, your final report, both narrative and budget to actuals, is due and to be submitted to the American Indigenous Tourism. And again, a reminder, no extensions will be granted for this particular funding opportunity. Okay, I probably rushed through that faster than I should have. But I wanted to give us time to share questions in the chat. And I'll hand it over to Toby to let me know if she's received any.
We've gotten a bunch of questions. First of all, Cricket, shout out for your international development degree, just like mine. Thank you. And thank you. We often get tripped up and say IANTA instead of AIT, those of us who've been working with the organization for a long time. So thank you for acknowledging in the chat. Let's see. I'm going to go scroll down. I see some questions in here. The first question, and Hannah, I think I'm going to leave this one to you. I think I know the answer, but I think you probably know it better. Is there a definition for Native nonprofits?
So if we go back to that original, to the original definitions, the Native Act specifies. So please go into the Native Act and look at the definitions of who can be included.
Yes, thank you. The next question is a question for me. Shayna Ateen, and pardon me if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly. Thank you for your question. How do you find or contact our local U.S. Forest Service unit for the letter of cooperation? Well, Shayna, that is up to you all to find. Of course, that information is online. But really, what we're looking for is evidence that there is a relationship between the tribe and the Forest Service unit, and that the Forest Service unit is aware of your project and is willing to support it with technical assistance or whatever other assistance they might be able to provide. So we will be looking for letters that show that there is a relationship or that the unit is willing to support the work that you all are doing, and kind of increase what's being provided and increase the impact of the project by lending technical capacity as well. The next question, could a tribe and a nonprofit apply that reside in the same city, county, or reservation? Yes. Would the enhancement of our Thipo-NAGPRA department to be able to participate in cultural site interpretation be an eligible activity? Okay, so I want to put a blanket statement out here and say we are not going to disqualify any project. All of this is subjective and is based on a rating scale. If you believe that your project is eligible, if it fits one of the criteria that Hannah went over before, which is, what kind of project you can have, it's up to you all to make the case that it is an eligible project in your proposal. Hannah, do you want to add anything to that? The question is whether a specific project is an eligible activity.
Yeah, and again, we can't really make that, as Toby had mentioned, we can't really make that decision on that amount of information. So again, as Toby noted, please go back to the eligibility requirements. Please read the Native Act, and then again make the case. And we will, it's a committee that reviews it, and we will all be aligning. Right, we're trying to also see where they align and make sure that they fit those requirements.
Great, thank you, Hannah. The next question, can the photo be a concept rendering? Yes, like I said, we're not going to disqualify you for something like that, but you want to think about what are, the components of the proposal that will make your proposal competitive and strong. And so you can determine if, that particular concept rendering is appropriate. That's really up to you all to decide what makes your proposal strong. Is a SAM required for this grant opportunity? I'm going to give that one to you, Hannah.
It is not required on our application. If you are applying for federal funding, it is a requirement. So this isn't a federal grants.gov funding opportunity. This is in partnership with the U.S. Forest Service, but it is not a federal grant application. Does that help?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you. Is it reasonable to state in the application? Okay, this is another question about, is our project good enough to apply? Same answer applies. It's up to you all to, create a compelling argument about why your proposal fits the bill and should be funded. So we can't really make any judgments just by a little clip, question in the chat about which projects are, going to get selected or are more competitive. That gets reviewed by the committee who selects the projects at the end. All right, we are a nonprofit. Our site is on Forest Service lands. Do we still need to get a tribal support letter? I believe those are mandatory, aren't they, Hannah?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Who are the reviewers? AIT staff or USFS or others? It is a combination of all of those.
Yeah.
Is there someone scanning? Again, I see this question about, is immediate proximity to the national forest a prerequisite for a program proposal? Again, what we're looking for is a letter from a supporting unit that will help you all along with your program. So we want that letter to say, yes, we support the project. This is how we're going to assist. And generally, those letters, it will come from whichever unit you are working more closely with or who have, helped you all work on a project in the past. So there's no requirement. It doesn't have to be the most proximal forest. It's just a forest that you know you can count on for support with this project. Can projects be within tribal lands, not in U.S. forest lands? Yes, good question. These projects do not have to be on Forest Service lands. In fact, that's what's special about this pot of money is that it does not require the project to be on Forest Service land. It can be on tribal land. It can be on other private land as long as it is supported by the tribal entity in the list of eligible entities. Anything to add to that, Hannah?
No, that's good. Yeah.
Okay. Can Native-owned businesses be considered as a tribal organization? Again, Hannah and I would encourage you to look back in the Native Act and look at the eligibility requirements. It will tell you what kinds of organizations are eligible. We have an active Native Act. Will be eligible for this funding. Okay. Someone is asking if they have a Native Act grant project that's active, are you eligible for this funding? You would be eligible for the funding, but the idea of the Native Act is to really kind of spread the money around. So we're really looking for a diversity of projects. And so, yes, you would be eligible. And again, we can't say which projects would be more competitive than others, but yes, you are eligible to apply. In 2027, we will expanding our summer reservation. I think this is going to be another question about, is this a good project? Let's see, maybe eligible. Let's see, would a project that involves developing publicity, reserving buses be eligible? Yep, like we said, you all determine, we're not going to disqualify anything because of it's a particular project. It's your job in the proposal to come up with a compelling reason why your project fits the requirements of the proposal and really bear that out in your proposal. And so again, look at the eligibility requirements, what kinds of projects are eligible. Ooh, there's 19 messages. These are coming fast and furious. Let's see. How many awards are anticipated to be granted? Hannah, I'm going to leave that one to you. I don't think we have a number of projects, but it's max 50,000, right? And we have, I'm not sure what the exact amount is, but we don't have a specific number of proposals that we're going to fund. It depends on what the amounts of the proposals are and which are the proposals that we decide to fund. So we don't have a specific target number of proposals that we're going to fund.
I also want to encourage you that if you have a project that say is not 50,000, right? Like it's a $10,000 or, I'm just using that as an example, but that we just have, you're not less competitive. If you come in and say, it's a $10,000 project, it moves this forward, it accomplishes this goal. If it is very clear, what is going to happen, we also look at those. It's not less competitive if you're coming in under the 50,000. We're trying to make that math equation work with all of the proposals we receive, and we're trying to spread it as much as we can to increase impact. So when you're looking at your proposal and what you're trying to accomplish, you are competitive if you're coming in at 10,000 as you are if you're coming in at 50.
Great. Okay. Next question. What differentiates tribal organization from tribe and indigenous nonprofit? I believe,
Again,
go ahead, Hannah.
I was just going to say, again, please look at the Native Act and the definitions that they include and make the case that you fall within those definitions.
All right. We are considering whether to apply as a tribal government or as a tourism company. Do you see one entity as being more competitive as another? All right. I know I sound like a broken record at this point, but we don't really want to evaluate the competitiveness of a proposal that hasn't been written yet. If you feel that one is more competitive than the other, then you should use that entity. But there's no kind of rank for one type of organization versus another. It's about how competitive is your proposal. Do you make a clear case for how you are going to implement this within the time period allotted? Is this a well thought out proposal? Have you already gotten some cost estimates, things like this? So basically, regardless of what kind of project, what kind of organization, your job when you submit your proposal is to try and demonstrate as clearly as possible that this is a well thought out project that is ready to be funded and can be completed within the time frame allotted. Hannah, anything to add to that?
Yeah, sorry. I was going to add, Toby brought up cost proposals and we talked about that in the criteria. The reason I want to highlight that is if we receive a proposal that says we think it's going to cost about this much, that is not as competitive as a proposal sitting next to you that says we have all of our ducks in a row, right? We know this is going to cost this amount, this amount, this amount. We've put everything together. Our budget reflects what we're trying to accomplish. And those cost estimates, right? Those, that we've, contacted the local blah, or the company that we're going to work with. We have all those down. So our budget is a true budget and it matches our narrative.
Great. Thank you, Hannah. The next question, is a match dollar amount required? Does it affect ranking? And the answer is no, there is no match required. So naturally, it does not affect ranking. As a follow-up, with the recent changes in Forest Service, are you reasonably confident the funding is secure? This is funding that is coming from AIT that was already delivered in an agreement. So yes, we are confident. Is there a list of projects that were funded last year? Yes, I think there are several press releases on AIT's website about previous awardees of Native Act grants in the past. And we also want you to keep in mind that, with changing priorities and every year, we may tweak the requirements. So something that may have been awarded in last year's or 2 years ago round of funding may not be awarded this time. So yes, it's a great idea to look at some of the past projects that were awarded. But again, just because a project that's not similar to yours hasn't been funded in the past doesn't mean it won't be funded this round. Are you able to provide an ALN or a CFDA number for the grant at this time? This is part of a grant. I don't know what those two sets of letters are, Hannah, so
Those
I'm going to
are,
hand that over to you.
yeah, this isn't a federal, it's not through grants.gov. It is not a federal grant opportunity. So those numbers would be assigned if it were that. This is coming through a partnership with the U.S. Forest Service. So it's coming through the American Indigenous Tourism Association, and those are not required, and there is none assigned to it.
All right. Next question. Would the grant allow funding initiatives that strengthen? Okay, this is going to be another one. Is this a good project? And I will give you the same answer as before. We will not judge a project based on what you put in the chat. It is your job to prove to us and the selection committee that this project is worthy of funding. So any questions about, is this a good project? We'll get that answer again. A little
We
blurry.
don't blame you for asking. We totally get it, but we just don't have enough information to really assist in that.
All right, Hannah, the next one, a little blurry on eligibility. We are a nonprofit led by Native staff, but with no legal affiliation with a single tribe. Are we eligible? Go ahead.
So I guess I'm gonna advise you to go back and look at the Native Act, and then also the eligibility requirements. You must have tribal support for this particular funding opportunity.
Thank you. Yes, the Forest Service letter is mandatory regardless of where the project is being developed. The question is, if not on forestry land, is the forest letter still required? And the answer is yes. Matching fund, we already said, not required. I think Kaya is just underscoring what she asked before. Let's see. All right, this sent me all the way back down to the bottom. Let me see. Definitions. I'm scrolling, you all, so please be patient with me. If this is a planning grant for implementation after May 2027, is it eligible? Okay, again, the eligibility requirements is that the project is completed by May 1st, 2027. So if your project is not going to be completed by May 1st, 2027, then it would not be a very competitive project.
But if you're thinking about a component of a bigger project, like say, for example, we're going to finish this piece of it, right? It's a bigger project, a multi-year project, but this piece of it will be completed by May 1st, 2027. That is a different, I mean, that is an opportunity to maybe make the case. I can't say one way or the other, but the whole idea is this has to be completed as Toby stressed. The funding has to have been utilized and spent and reported on done by May 1st, final report May 31st, 2027.
Thank you. Okay, I think this is the last question. Oh, well, I've just got another one pop in. So let me answer the second to last. Can two separate program entities from the same tribe apply separately, or is one application per tribe preferred? You can submit as many as you want. Again, any project will be reviewed and evaluated based on the eligibility criteria. We're not disqualifying projects if they came from the same tribe or the same entity. All of the proposals will be judged based on the eligibility requirements that are laid out on AIT's website. All right. Kaya, all of the guidance is on the AIT website, so I would really review that closely. When you're not on the webinar, go ahead and read that stuff. And that should give you the answer to eligibility. Where can I find the Native Act? Can someone please link the Native Act? Hey, Danielle, thank you very much. Danielle, our trustee education coordinator with AIT, just put the link in the chat for you all. Roberta, this was answered. AIT staff, USFS, or others, it's all three. And I think that is all of the questions for now. If you have any other questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. And again, all of the eligibility requirements are available on the AIT website. Hannah, anything else you would like to add? I believe we answered all of the questions.
Yeah, and so again, yeah, I just want to stress, please look at our website and please also, and thank you, Danielle, for providing the link to the Native Act. Please read both of those before you begin and work your way through those eligibility requirements. It is under resources. It's the first tab under resources, and go ahead and really explore that piece of it. We've tried to make it as easy as possible in terms of applications. So please take a look at that, and hopefully it will be an easy process for you once you dig in. And then also this webinar will be available shortly after it's completed on our website. So if you want to go back and look at something or want to review any portion of the webinar, it will be available.
And Hannah, aren't there also a series of webinars about how to apply for grants on your website?
Thank you for bringing that up, Toby. Okay, so we're really excited about this, and I should have mentioned it. So we have partnered with the grant plan, and they did a series of, I believe, 4 webinars really breaking down how to do a grant application. And I can't recommend it enough. It was really, I enjoyed watching them and learning from them. And I really hope it is a helpful tool for everyone doing grants, not just this grant, but it really covers federal grant opportunities. And I know those are complicated to dig into. This is not hopefully as complicated as a federal grant opportunity, but please take the opportunity. It's on our website. There is no charge. Please take the opportunity to review those. They are so helpful, and they really break it down into steps. And believe there is. I believe there is even one session on budgets. If not, it is covered in the, I can't remember if it was its own session or if it's covered as part of it. And please, please, please take the opportunity to review that, because that is usually the hardest part, is connecting the budget to the narrative, right? And so when you have a budget that matches your narrative, it is a more competitive grant application. I will just say that in general. So please take the opportunity to review those. They're super helpful. Again, I'm biased. It's a product we put together, but it was in partnership with the grant plant. They did a fantastic job. So I highly encourage you to look at those. There are other resources available on our website too, that do not have a charge. There are webinars that you can go in and see, past webinars and things like that, that hopefully are helpful to you. So thank you, Toby, for bringing those up. And we are super excited about those. Those really turned out really well.
You're welcome. And thanks to Danielle for posting the link for those webinars in the chat.
Yes, thank you. Okay,
Hannah,
do we have any more?
I see one more question in the chat that I'm going to pass to you, and I don't know uh, if there is this, but there's a question: who is the AIT representative for the Great Lakes area?
Oh, that is a great question. And I feel very embarrassed. I don't know the answer to that question. Our website has our board of directors on it by region. And Danielle, do you mind putting that in the chat as well? Our board of directors list. And don't tell.
There it is.
No, that's terrible. I don't know that off the top of my head. I apologize.
It's okay. All right, so now that link to the board members is in the chat for anyone who needs it.
And our board of directors they're broken up into 15 regions across the United States. This process of determining those regions involved our constituency. We did a multi-year sort of project to understand how best to serve our community, our constituency, and that's how those regions were determined. And they are elected positions, and we have an amazing board of directors. So please take a peek at those and hopefully find the one that represents your region. There's also a regional map that is helpful too. So please take a look at that as well. All right. Any more questions in the chat, Toby?
Nope. I think we're all set. I see.
Okay.
Let's see. Yeah, that was. Yep, I think we're all set. And thank you, Danielle. I got your message. All right.
Okay, I just want to, we talked about some of the resources and the things we have. We're very excited about some upcoming trainings and events. One I really want to highlight is on April 21st to the 22nd. We will be hosting a 2-day virtual event. And that's the big news, right? Go International used to be in person. Based on feedback, we've moved it to a virtual event for more inclusion. So it's a 2-day virtual event, and go look at the speaker lineup. It's incredible. So it's intended to introduce Indigenous-owned businesses to international markets and equips participants with knowledge and tools needed to price, package, and sell their tourism products to markets overseas. Please, again, look at our website for under events and education. The Go International, the one thing I love about Go International is a lot of hands-on. You get to meet sort of the premier in the field, and then there's some hands-on opportunities that I always find that is always helpful for me as someone learning. So please take a look at that. I hope you have an opportunity to participate this year. Okay, and then my favorite of the conferences, the American Indigenous Tourism Conference, or AITC. We are super excited this year to be hosted by the Tulalip tribe in Washington, their beautiful property. So please take a look. That is also on our website. And hopefully you can attend this year. Again, this has amazing networking opportunities, breakout sessions, the plenary sessions, just amazing speakers, amazing just opportunities to see what's happening in Indigenous tourism in the United States. Okay, and yeah, that is also on our website under events. So please take a look. And then I started with gratitude. I want to end with gratitude. Thank you so much, Toby, for everything you have done for Indigenous tourism in the United States. Thank you so much for being such a great partner. And thank you for joining us today.
Be with you all today. Good luck, everyone. We look forward to reading your proposals.
And thank everyone for participating in the webinar today. And thank you for everyone who's going to put forward a proposal. I know it's a lot of work, but we really appreciate the opportunity to support Indigenous tourism in this way. All right, everyone, have a great afternoon and look for the webinar on our website soon.